Hey everybody, it's been a while. I apologize for that. But since my last video, I did get a couple of new additions into the collection, and we're going to talk about a couple of them today. So around SEST, I flew down into Atlanta. Dan Hood, or Big DH2000, picked me up. I stayed at his house the evening before, and we drove in together. Dan is a very good friend of mine, someone who I admire and respect, and he's a phenomenal builder. If you've seen any of his slingshots in person, you know that he is a top-notch builder. There's one frame in particular he had at SEST that I was really interested in. Held it a few times. I think I took a couple shots with it, and I convinced, I think it was my parents, to get this for me for Christmas, and that's the Manthis. Now, this does cause a little bit of hand slap, just because of the design of the slingshot here. But you hold it, basically so the forks are straight. And it's a beautiful slingshot. You don't see it used very often, and I understand why, because of the hand slap. But it's extremely comfortable. Absolutely love this thing. I need to get better with this so I don't get a whole lot of more hand slap with it, but love this frame. Another one that I got that my wife purchased for me is this absolutely beautiful custom Maxum with flip clips. This was made by Tim, or the Toolman, as he's known. And he asked about colors and everything, and I said I like black and green. And he built this, and I love the Maxum. It's one of my absolute favorite designs, and this thing is just extremely comfortable. It shoots very well for me. I absolutely love this thing. This is one that I've shot quite a bit since receiving this. Well, I did get it at Christmas, and living in Utah, I don't get to shoot outside very often. And where I'm currently living, I don't have an indoor range anymore. That will change later. But this thing by Tim is fantastic. If you've seen Tim's work, you know that Tim is a phenomenal builder. One of the best out there. Absolutely one of the best. And then a couple other frames. For those of you that have been around for a while, you'll know the name of Eric Au, or as he's better known on the forums when he was on there and he was actively building, that is Metro Grade Goods, or Metro. Really good guy. He's just kind of taking a break from slingshots and building, and he was going through his shop and put out there in a group that we all belong to, says, hey, I'm cleaning up my stuff. He was interested in a mystery box. A couple of us spoke up, and he said, all right, I'm going to put in just a bunch of stuff. Could be some really good frames in there. Could be just some, not for lack of a better term, junk. And he just put in a bunch of stuff in boxes and shipped it out to people, and we paid shipping. So one thing that I got in my Metro box is a can opener made Tiny Turtle. So a can opener, or Randy Knapp, is the designer of the Tiny Turtle, and the pickle bone, and a couple other frames. Phenomenal builder, phenomenal shooter. He has since moved on. He doesn't build anymore. Has it for quite a while. But this was an HDPE made Tiny Turtle by can opener. I only had one can opener left. That's my G10 pickle bone. He also included, I think this is the original Gappa out of Osage Orange by MJ. MJ has been around for a while. For many years, he was the world record holder for for speed shooting, how many cans you can knock in a minute, until that was taken over, I think, within the past couple of years by an individual in China. But he was the Guinness World Record holder for that for a while. And this was his design. Eric, or Metro, did build him one of these at a G10 with plugs to use on here. If you saw that, it was St. Patrick's Day not too long ago, and my wife did my nails, or at least those two. But this is the original Gapper that he designed and shot quite a bit, and it's nice and small. It just fits the hands very well. Beautiful little design. I'd love to get one of these in G10 with something to put on. I'm not a huge fan of wrap and tuck, but if I could do something like he did with those plugs to put in the bands, that'd be phenomenal. Another one that Eric sent is his take on one of these Spanish shooters, and this is way too small for my hands. I could never ever shoot this. I mean, my pinky just goes up in there, and it's not comfortable for me. But it's cool to have on my shelf here in my office. This little Metro, and he has his screws in here for the tabs and tubes. It's beautifully built, but it's just too small for my hands. And a big surprise that he also included in my mystery box were 2 frames by a phenomenal builder, arguably one of the best, if not the best builder, out of England, and that is Lewis Pride. So I have a tube shooter. I think this looks like kind of like an Axiom for tubes. I haven't shot this one yet, but I think this is burl and leather, and it is a very comfortable frame. Lewis is a phenomenal builder. He's a stand-up gentleman as well. I was able to meet him at SEST or ECST in 2016. Great guy. His dad's fantastic too. This is a phenomenally comfortable frame. I've been shooting tubes a lot lately mostly because of the weather, but that is it's beautiful. The craftsmanship on this is top notch. Lewis's build quality is very hard to beat. And another one that I got was this Axiom. Nice, very thin form factor, wrap and tuck. It's just extremely comfortable to hold. Just beautiful, beautiful frame. And I love Lewis's logo. And that's just classy as well. And then something else. If you saw my last video where I talked about ECST loot, I mentioned that Matt Neiman, or You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, was going to build me a custom slingshot for the trade of getting that cooler. That arrived shortly before Christmas. And this is the Banana Hands Forget About It. And of course, black and green. And this thing is just fantastic. The only thing is the pinky hole's a little big, but man, this is just super comfortable to hold and shoot. I love this frame. The gap on here is just slightly larger than my preferred, but still easily adjustable. It's just off by a couple of millimeters. Not a big deal. Beautiful thing though. Absolutely love it. This is one that I shoot quite often. This, the Maxum, and my still shot from Dan Hood are ones that I shoot quite frequently. Probably the most at this point. And I forgot to grab one. And not too long ago, I had the opportunity to go to the Toolman's house. Where'd I put that frame? And I was in his state over the weekend for work. A couple weeks ago, before the whole virus thing hit. And we spent most of the day hanging out. We shot, we hung out as friends, and I've known Tim for years. Fantastic guy, as I mentioned. And we did it. I took a couple slingshots with me as well, and we ended up doing a trade. And I got this beauty. This is, you probably can't see the maker's mark very well, but this is another, because it's been partially sanded off. This is another Lewis Pratt. Obviously Ocularis Axiom. And this has about the center on the tips on this is the same as the Forget About It. So they shoot very similarly. And this thing is just beautiful. I love how thin it is, how light it is. I shot this very well. I didn't shoot this at all when I was at Tim's place. This wasn't banded up, and I took the bands off the slingshot that I traded Tim for this, and put this on this when I got to my hotel, and I shot in the hotel a little bit with practice ammo. But another Lewis Pride. Beautiful, beautiful work. Now, if you saw the original picture of this, Tim did modify it a little bit. He kind of took it down in the swells and made it a little bit thinner form factor, but I did a little work on that. And then something I just got today, which is kind of prompted this video, is while I was hanging out with Tim, he talked about doing a Toolman with binding posts. And you guys know that I love binding posts, and I've wanted a Toolman special for years. Ever since I first saw them, I've wanted one. And so I was talking to Tim, and he showed me this slingshot. After he built it, took a couple shots with it, I said, I gotta have that. So we talked and we struck a deal, and this showed up. As far as I know, he hasn't done any other ones, but here is the Toolman. This has slightly higher forks than the standard Toolman special, but has holes for binding posts. The core itself already had the holes in it, so you didn't have to do anything special for it. I think this is carbon fiber scales. I could be wrong. I'm waiting for Tim to get back to me on that. But I love the way this just feels in the hands. It's nice. It's perfect. It fits the hands very well, and I very much look forward to binding this up, or banding this up rather, and taking it for a couple shots. Haven't done that yet. It just came in the mail not too long ago. But beautiful craftsmanship. And there is Tim's new pin. If I pull out my Maxum that he built, I gotta unwind it again. This one has a salamander pin. I think that's just a pin that he got from a supplier. It wasn't a custom one, because custom pins cost a bit of scratch. So there's the pin that he put in here. I think the customs, I can't remember what it is, the slant, maybe? That was a Mark Sullivan design that Tim built for Jesse. Jesse Harris has the same pin in it. Jesse is another good guy, another good friend of mine. But now Tim is using these custom pins. And again, if you've seen Tim's work, the craftsmanship is just top notch. Tim is also one of the best builders out there. If you have a chance to get any of his work, I highly recommend it. And I cannot wait to get this banded up and shot. I've shot most of the other slingshots here. I haven't shot the other two Lewis Prides or the Tiny Turtle. To be honest, the Tiny Turtle is a little small for my hands. It's not the most comfortable. Although this one, if you see here, it's flat on this side and rounded here, so it's a little bit different. It's definitely pinch grip, but it's just, I don't particularly care for this design. Now, speaking of Tiny Turtles, here's one that I got from Drew Bilbrey. Again, he put the binding post on there at my request, and it's surprisingly, for my hands, and I have rather large hands, as I mentioned before, I'm 6'5", and I can palm a basketball. But this one's slightly more comfortable because it's rounded on both sides, and I can hold it more how I want to with the pinch, kind of thumb support, pinch grip hybrid. Where this one, I still can, it's just slightly more difficult, because this, I think down here is slightly different on both of them. It could be just how they're rounded over. Speaking of Drew is another fantastic individual, another good friend of mine. I talk to Drew probably every other day, if not daily. Great guy. For my birthday, he sent me a surprise, and I got 2 of his little natties. And Drew is his natties are some of the best I've ever seen. Beautiful little, I'm not even sure if he has a design for this, just a beautiful little plinker slingshot here. Haven't had a chance to band these up yet, but just nice and small little BB shooter. The CA finish, not sure what the wood is, but just beautiful stuff here. And this one, you can see he put a little bit of resin on it. Getting a little glare, but a little bit of resin filled in some of the voids. And I think this is his Drew shot. Kind of one of his classic designs that he's kind of known for lately. And this just fits the hand. It just goes in, and it's just very natural to hold. It's just absolutely beautiful. Drew's another one. If you like naturals, you got to check out his work. He's just hands down phenomenal. He's done some real cool stuff with resin lately as well. A lot of cool resin builds, as you can see with this dyno shot that he's done. And this was, I think, a little bit earlier on in his resin building stuff, so he's definitely improved on that. Check him out. He has an Etsy store. He can be found on the various Facebook groups as well. But anyway, those are some of the latest additions to my collection. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully now that it's starting to warm up a little bit, I can go and do some more shooting. And I'm not really in an acquisition mode, so don't have anything to really talk about as far as new frames, except for these ones that I just got. Because that's kind of slowed down. I've gotten most of what I want now. But I'm hoping to go to some tournaments, maybe this year, maybe next, depending on how this whole virus thing shakes down. And hope to guys see you out there on the forums and at tournaments. Catch you guys later.